Its future has been written by those who view it as a resource mine. Its lands have been plotted by foreigners, and its leaders have been chosen by outside forces. However, a change is occurring. A brand new movement that doesn't seek approval is emerging. A movement without waiting for permission, and Ghana is in the middle of it. Being the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to achieve independence and the cradle of Kwame Nkrumah's vision of an independent, united Africa, Ghana has always been a land of firsts. However, that dream was stolen decades after independence and reduced by economic dependence, foreign influence, and military entanglements that serve interests that extend well beyond Africa's boundaries. Then there was a change, a moment of rebellion. John Mahama gains authority, as a symbol as well as a leader. His triumph is more than just a political event. It is a proclamation that foreign powers will no longer use Ghana as a playground. A pledge that Africa will determine its own destiny. However, Mahama is aware that sovereignty has a price and that words by themselves cannot liberate a country. His first action was a blatant threat to the West that would cause a global uproar. However, what is Ghana doing? Let's investigate. In a bold and unexpected move that has sent shockwaves across international relations, Ghana's President John Mahama has demanded that all US troops leave Ghana. This decisive action comes after Donald Trump's abrupt cancellation of US aid programs and the mass deportation of African immigrants from the United States. Mahama's stance signals a growing tension between the two nations, as he refuses to allow Ghana to be treated with disrespect. His message is clear: Ghana will not be strong-armed into submission, and its sovereignty is non-negotiable. Mahama's recent election triumph is the beginning of it all. On the morning following the election, Ghana awoke to more than a new head of state. A new chapter in history arose when it awoke. There was a lot of celebration in the streets. However, something more profound was taking place behind the applause and flag-waving. This election wasn't your typical one. This was a message to the world and to Africa. Ghana had been engaged in the precarious balancing act between foreign influence and sovereignty for decades. Some leaders promised change, while others upheld the existing quo. However, Mahama's comeback was distinct. The stakes were bigger this time. It was more than just governance this time. Rewriting Ghana's position in the globe was the goal. His triumph was an unmistakable signal. The status quo is trembling. Mahama's return was seen by the West as a geopolitical danger rather than merely a change in politics. Ghana had been a reliable partner in their playbook for many years. A nation prepared to participate diplomatically and accept financial, military, and commercial alliances, all of which had unspoken conditions. However, the world had evolved. Africa was a different continent. In the past, direct colonial rule by foreign powers governed African countries. They adjusted after that, relying on debt, military pacts, and political meddling to hold onto power. Ghana was no different. And yet here was Mahama, a leader who didn't hesitate to resist. Those who profited from Africa's dependence on Western policies, a resource-rich and strategically influential nation determining its own course, saw his return to power as a harbinger of danger. In many respects, this election served as a referendum on Ghana's independence. It served as a test to see if the populace would select a leader who would follow Western norms or one who would take a different approach. The solution seemed obvious. Mahama's victory was not only his own. It was also a victory for an Africa on the rise that defies authority. But why are we discussing his victory? What is the symbol of Mahama's leadership? Policies are only one aspect of leadership. It has to do with perception. Mahama is seen by many in Ghana and around the continent as a representation of an Africa that has finished requesting permission. He serves as a reminder that Ghana's people's rebellious determination, not compromise, earned the country's freedom. His election represents a rejection of paternalism in the West. There should be no more outside influences using Ghana as a test site for democracy. A drive for true economic independence, not only changes that appease foreign investors, but measures that prioritize Ghana. A call for dignity on the international scene. In international affairs, Ghana is no longer a junior partner. It is an independent country with its own priorities. Furthermore, this change is not limited to Ghana. Africa as a whole is observing. Rarely do elections in one nation have an impact outside of its borders. However, this one was unique. Ghana, a country whose democratic procedures impact regional trends, is frequently regarded as a political barometer for the continent. Africa, whose countries have long battled to strike a balance between local government and outside forces, was rocked by Mahama's victory. In recent years, nations in the Sahel, West Africa, and elsewhere have been turning away from foreign rule. Ghana's elections confirmed that this trend was increasing. If Ghana, a nation known for its stability and support for the West, were to elect a leader who supported self-determination, what would prevent others from following suit? It was an obvious message. Leaders who put foreign interests ahead of their own are no longer welcome in Africa. The days of puppet regimes are coming to an end. Sovereignty is being valued over subservience by a new generation of leaders. Ghana had just established the standard. There are victors and losers with every change of power, and Mahama's success greatly upset some. Ghana has long been a vital regional partner for Western countries, a nation they could rely on to back their military and diplomatic plans. However, Mahama's return was ambiguous. Would Ghana still be open to working together on military installations? Would it uphold trade deals that favored foreign nations over citizens? Would Mahama fortify his connections with other African leaders who opposed the West? Analysts and diplomats scrambled due to the uncertainty. Reports on the implications of this for Western interests in Africa were already being prepared by political think tanks in Washington, London, and Brussels. The reality was straightforward. There was no stopping of Ghana's transformation. External influences, economic agreements, foreign aid, and military alliances have influenced Ghana's politics for far too long, benefiting those outside the country more than its citizens. The election of Mahama signifies a restoration to Ghana's actual identity and something more profound. This is the Ghana of Nkrumah, the Ghana that dared to envision an independent Africa and refused to bow. Dreams, however, are only as powerful as the will to pursue them. And the greatest conflicts in Mahama are only getting started, because there are costs associated with questioning the existing quo. Will Mahama's vision come to pass? Or will the old world's forces mount a more formidable defense? The answers will determine the destiny of a continent, not simply